Do you guys want to talk about this thing?
Sure.
I mean, if we have to, but
Okay, so I want to get started on this by saying that, sometimes you make a game and you have a vision in mind, and usually whenever I play a game, I can find something in that game that's worthwhile and that's fun, and I did not have any fun with this game at all. Fuck this game. God damn it.
did you not watch the trailers or anything before you suggested it, or did you just hear through someone else?
All I did is I tuned in. I go to the Giant Bombcast, and every year they have like 4 or 5 episodes, like 3 hours long, where they pick the best games of the year, and they have different categories. This one won the category of, I think it was like best trippy game, and I think it was like number 5 or 6 on their top 10. And so I'm like, wow. I don't like drug trip games, but obviously there's something to this one. And what the hell were they thinking? I mean, I can articulate more what I thought, but what do you guys think?
I just didn't find any redeemable qualities to it, quite honestly. The music was cool for the first 2 seconds of any level, and then it just, man, did it feel like it was just grinding away at you and just punishing you for listening to it. And I felt the same with the combat mechanics, where sometimes it would work perfectly, other times it wouldn't. I mean, you run into a room with multiple guys in it, and you're pretty much hosed, and you have to kind of just like wait around for the right scenario to happen. It is just super annoying the whole time. I didn't like it. I don't think I liked anything about it.
Did you guys finish it?
No.
Oh, you didn't?
No.
Okay.
No.
I'm 81 minutes into it. I just bashed my head against the wall on one level, and I decided, nope, there's no way.
Huh.
I even got frustrated every time you start the game up. Instead of your thing being highlighted over continue, it's new game. So I don't know how many times I pressed enter and started a new game instead of I mean, this is a very minor gripe, but just to continue on with, I couldn't find anything I liked about the game. I didn't even like the menu.
Well, yeah, jeez. Yeah, that's pretty bad. What about you, Aaron?
I mean, I knew about this game before I played it. I had just forgotten what the title of the game was, so whenever I went into it, I didn't know what it was. As soon as I saw the woman at the desk that says take a seat, I knew what it was, and I was like, oh, fuck me. I'm like, how long am I got to stand this game? Because a lot of people I heard talk about it before, and they're like, you are either into this style or humor, or you are going to not want anything to do with it. And I'm definitely in the not wanting to have anything to do with it category.
Now, what I will say is I did find... I don't even know how to put it into words. There were a couple jokes that landed for me. For example, like in the third stage, which you guys probably didn't get to, you walk up to a car and there's like an arrow over it, and then it goes into like this Street Fighter, like the Ryu punching a car sequence, so you could beat up the car. Did you guys get to that?
That's pretty funny. No.
It's pretty funny. Yeah, it's
so.
a direct ripoff of Street Fighter, and it's really funny, and that landed. Then in that same thing, there's like a wedding cake somewhere, and you walk up to it, and it like opens up, and it turns into Wedding Quake. So it was a Quake game, only you had like champagne corks that you were firing at the other guys, and like there's a wedding cake grenade launcher, and like it was funny. There were funny parts to that game, but it seems like most of the game was like, if there's a guy at a party that just thinks he's hilarious but keep on telling you these jokes that are just not funny at all, the whole game just felt like that to me. Like, you needed to be on drugs to find this game at all amusing. And maybe that's a little bit worse because there are things that are funny about this game. It's just you had to, like, you took one drug in this hotel thing and you were then forever galloping like a pony. And after like 2 minutes or 2 seconds or whatever, I'm like, oh, I get it. But then you had to do that for the rest of the level. Finally, I quit out and reloaded the level because I couldn't take it anymore. It's just not funny. So yeah, I mean, he held up one time the phone rang, and he held it up to his face, and it was a banana phone. I mean, that's kind of funny, but it's I don't know. And you guys want to know what the end of the game is?
Sure, I'm not going to.
Sure, why not?
So.
Okay, so you that guy that you talk to that intros to give you the stage, he gets captured along with his secretary. And then his secretary is in like a vat of Jell-O, and he's in a tube of water. So you walk up to the secretary, and you free her by starting to eat the Jell-O, and then it cuts as like 26 hours later, and finally you're like halfway down on the Jell-O, which I thought was kind of funny. And and then you go over to the guy, you free him, and then he's like, oh, actually... Or you press this button to free him, but it says, like, turn into a crocodile or something. And so his head turns into a crocodile, and he's like, well, we all know how this ends, so you might as well get on with it. So you jump down his throat. And then there's the credits. And as the credits roll, you're walking through his esophagus to his stomach. It is the stupidest thing I've ever played in my life.
Oh, wow.
Yeah,
It is
sounds
bad.
about right.
It is bad. I don't know who to recommend this game to.
People on acid?
I think I paid $3 for this game, and I feel ripped off.
Yeah. Yeah, I feel the same way. I'm not going to touch it ever again. It's a waste to have sitting in my Steam library. I mean,
Yeah,
I want nothing to do with it. It
Yeah.
wasn't fun.
it's not.
I didn't get to any of the jokes. So that's even worse. I gave up before I got to anything that I even thought worth laughing at.
Oh, that's bad.
Yeah.
Well, and another thing that the game did, like I could only run it in windowed mode, so I could record it. And it kept on like refreshing every time I went into a new area. It would clip so that half of the screen was off the screen. So I had to resize the screen every single time.
Wow, that's annoying.
Wow. I mean, I had some really bad screen tearing issues when I first loaded up. I had to mess with settings. I don't remember what I had to do, but yeah, whatever the default was, it didn't work. That was for sure. So
Yeah.
it must not be optimized very well.
Man. The only thing I can say is that this game club was started in part in order to get us out of our comfort zone and have us play games that we wouldn't normally play. And this, I think, we accomplished the goal in that regard, but man, I hope I pick some better games going forward.
I'm sure we do. It can't all be like this.
No.
Yeah.
Well,
that'd be hard for you to be that unlucky.
yeah. The one thing, I mean, the fall wasn't great. Child of Light I thought was pretty good. So let's. I think we forgot to do this with the fall. For JazzPunk rating out of 10, what do you give this game?
Oh Lord.
I'd say a 1 tops.
Yeah, I mean, going by my scale of like, I think I had said 5 worth having in your library. You might hardly ever play it, but it's worth being there. So it's definitely below that. Maybe. Well, no, I'm never gonna play it. I don't know if I can even justify giving it a 1. Seriously.
Yeah.
I hate it. Hate it. I want nothing to do with the game. I'm not even gonna give it a 1.
I'm actually
Nope,
thinking
give it
about
By the way-
refunding.
I'm thinking about it too. I only played 25 minutes.
Yeah.
If you right click on the game in Steam and go to set categories, there is a little menu that pops up, and there is a button for hide this game in my library. I am never going to see it again.
Yeah. Yep. I would give it a 2 only because there are like what I described, the Street Fighter thing, the Quake thing. There are homages to other games in this, and there are a few jokes that kind of landed for me. But I mean, the game is not fun to play. I'm really sorry for having suggested it. I would give it a 2. So I would say by far this is the worst game so far, for sure.
You pretty much gave it a 2 based on its call outs to other games, not even
Exactly,
within its own.
and that's why I
Its
gave
own
it a
liking.
2. It's like it's not even doing its own thing where I like it. It's copying things where I like it. You know, and Guacamelee did the same thing too. It had little homages to other games, but they did it so much better. And and it landed, and it wasn't always trying to be a follower. It did its own thing and had those homages, which
Yeah, it's not like that was the sole content of the game. It's like it makes it funny being in the context of the world, not having the world revolve around it.
well, and I guess that's not fair too because JazzPunk was definitely doing its own thing for sure. It's doing its own thing, but it's not a thing I like.
Well, I mean, what thing is it actually doing, though? It's
Just
having
being
the
dumb.
shitty artwork, being in a nondescript world, just being obtuse for obtuse's sake. It's like, what is it really? It's a bad walking simulator.
It's a
with
piece of
jokes,
garbage.
You know?
And I hate to say that because somebody obviously tried on this game. You know, why would they make it if they weren't trying? But man, I just wish it was better. So, I have very little doubt that next week's game is going to be better because next week's game is Undertale.
Yeah, that's, yeah. There's, considering I already know, like, literally everything about that game, it's, yeah.
I have yet to
It's
do
gonna be better.
I have yet to do the bad ending and the good ending. Dan, I don't think you've played or seen any of it so far.
I've seen some of it, but I've not even started it yet.
Okay.
So
Yeah, don't.
Well, let's preface this at all. What have you seen about it?
nothing story wise. I've only maybe seen some boss fights or something that I've caught on some Twitch streams. That's pretty
Okay.
much it.
All right, well, good. That's not really spoiling anything then.
Yeah, and if you get stuck, don't be afraid to reach out because I did hit a wall with that game, but we can talk about it, a little bit later.
Yeah.
So.
Cool.
All right, guys, that does it for this one. We'll see you next week with Undertale.
All right.
Yep.
Bye-bye.
See you later.
You have poor Fugu technique.